Life is going to have difficult times. And you can either say that you learned something from them and grew from it, or it just turns into a shitty experience.
Well, I was wondering if we could finish off with a kind of lightning round.
Lightning,
So
let's go.
if I just fire some questions at you, and you can answer as with a sort of long response, or probably just like a sentence or two.
Okay.
How does that sound?
Let's do it.
All right. And if you don't like a question, we can just move on. So start off with biggest rival.
I mean, I guess, in sports, it was Rich Froning. Yeah.
Okay. Toughest workout.
In 2012 or 13, there was a 2011. There was a triathlon at Camp Pendleton in California. That was the worst ever.
Okay. Biggest failure.
I've lost in jiu-jitsu matches. I've lost in, I've blacked out on competition floor. I'd say though, I'd say my biggest failure has not recognizing my strengths and weaknesses earlier in business and not being able to lead more effectively our team. I wish I had been able to do that better. I think in general with the kids, I've really tried to have good perspective, but I think when it comes to the business, I didn't have that same perspective. I wish I had had more. I wish I had taken more time to get into more leadership summits, to get into more mentorship groups, so I could have opened my mind better as a leader earlier.
That's a good answer. That's a very kind of considered answer as well. There are a lot of lessons in that one.
Yeah.
Most memorable competitive moment.
I competed in this event called the Burden Run, and I just smashed it. And this crowd, this huge soccer stadium, just filled with people. It was crazy. The Burden Run was my favorite.
Amazing. Greatest inspiration outside fitness.
Probably my wife and my parents, I'd say.
Biggest thing you've changed your mind on. I guess we kind of covered this a little bit, but biggest thing that you kind of, changed your mind on.
I feel like I changed my mind a lot on the biggest thing I've changed my mind on is that success does not equate to revenue or how many employees you have. Success is how many people can you support in a really good, authentic way for them to live a life that you're proud that they're living? And how can you make sure that you are present and focused on your family? And that to me is success, right? Like is being able to provide for my family while also be able to provide for a small group of others and having them thrive and us thrive. Versus what I changed my mind on is I used to think I want to grow this company to as many employees as humanly possible. And I thought that's what success was.
Yeah, that's a great answer. And that's a great kind of reframing of it, as you said as well, right? That's a really good, that's really interesting. Okay, so a couple of others. What's more important, talent or work ethic? And second to that, I guess, do you kind of attribute a lot of your success to talent or to work ethic?
I think work ethic, and I think work ethic. Yeah, I think that there's a lot of people with a lot of talent, but unless you have the work ethic and the passion to drive it, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, that's great. Best piece of advice you've ever received?
You can look at this in so many ways. Treat your business like a business and not a hobby, blah, 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 blah. Keep date nights with your significant other. The one that just like immediately comes to mind would probably be my dad saying like the expectation should be that life is going to be hard. And so that when it isn't, you should really enjoy those good days. And he came from, like I said, he came from Iran. He came with a whole different vantage point. Like the hard days over there are different than, the hard days that I'm talking about potentially. But I think that when you look at that as a family, as a husband, as a dad, it's like, dude, the prerequisite should be that like life's gonna be tough. And the older you get, the more responsibilities you have, the harder it's gonna get. But when it is good, just embrace it because it's not always gonna be that way.
Yeah, I think you're a living embodiment of that, right? Of facing the adversity, overcoming it, facing further adversity, overcoming it, and enjoying the kind of good times. And I guess the hard times make the good times even sweeter, right? In a way.
Yeah, I mean, look at it this way. Like my daughter has been in a residency program for 2.5 months. She has not been at our house in 2.5 months for health issues, and she comes home 2 days from now. So it's going to be like Christmas at our house. It's going to be like, we're popping champagne and we're celebrating big. but we wouldn't be able to have that emotion unless we had to go through this other, and this isn't the exact example, but the point I'm trying to make is that life is going to have difficult times, and you can either say that you learned something from them and grew from it, or it just turns into a shitty experience. So for me, going through this, the positive is I need to embrace her being home and just embrace every moment, because for 2.5 months, I haven't had that. And if I didn't go through that, I wouldn't have the bliss that I'm going to feel on Friday. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you're going to appreciate it 3 times as much, right?
Exactly.
Because it was taken away for a period. Yeah. And I think you've just covered it here. But like, piece of advice you'd give to, say, 20-year-old Jason, but you may have just covered it there. I think.
Yeah, I just think keep your head down, keep working, and try and have an open mind, and always remember that like people are going to come in there. Like if I could give advice to my 20-year-old self, I would say, Jason, work hard and detach in all situations from your ego, your emotion, your perspective. Detach from your ego. Don't allow that to take over. Detach from being emotional when you're connecting with people, and always look at situations from different persons' lenses and perspectives, because they don't come to it the same way that you do. Everybody comes from a different perspective, and be more open-minded. I think that as a young 20-year-old who's a gritty, hard worker, who could have that mentality, the sky's the limit.
Especially today, right? When a lot of people aren't prepared to think like that and be like that and work hard. I think, as you said, if you're a 20-year-old today and you really embrace that, you'd probably be going places.
100%.
Last 2, greatest hope for the future.
Yeah, I mean, I want to watch my children grow up and be happy.
And again, I think this might be related, but what do you want your legacy to be? So Jason Khalipa, you've done all sorts of things. What would you want your legacy to be 30, 40, 50 years from now?
That guy was a good husband. He was a great dad, and he gave a shit about his community. And, he wanted to level people up. Like, he wanted to give more than he took. Like, the contribution as a man, something I've been thinking about a lot lately, is like, I want to add more to society than I'm taking. I want to provide more than I'm taking, provide more value, share more, give more. And that's what I want to be known for.